just hope that doesn't move. Okay. All right. So we left off with what they don't understand about being a teacher, and what they never tell you is that sometimes it's challenging and sometimes you make mistakes. Sometimes being a teacher is like being a student. That is what we said was a good analogy. Remember that where did we pull all of these ideas from? This idea to model our introduction paragraph this way about like what they don't understand about being a teacher. Where did we get that from, Naomi?
In the beginning of 11 when Rachel says her point of view.
When Rachel says her point of view. Very good. Hayden. It's like this. It's like the style that she used. Very, very good. Okay. Today I wish I wasn't so much like a student, because if I was more like a teacher, I would have known what to say before I put the sweater on Rachel's desk. Now, on our story mountains, we said that the beginning of our story was going to show who doing what. Look at your story mountain. The beginning of our version of 11 from Mrs. Price's point of view was going to have Mrs. Price doing what? Amjad? You should be looking in your packet, and if I have to talk to you again, I am taking your computer away for the rest of today. Mana.
That she sees the sweater and she wants it gone.
She sees the sweater and she wants it gone. Should have asked for directions on how to do this. Okay, she sees the sweater and she wants it gone. So, how should I start this? We're in present tense now. How am I going to start this? I am Mrs. Price. We are all Mrs. Price now. How am I going to start this? Van.
I come into the classroom that day and see the sweater hanging in the coat.
I come into my classroom and I go to the coat closet to set down my jacket. Period. It's a reasonable reason why anyone would be going into the coat closet. Yes?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Great. Thank you for agreeing with me. This is absolutely terrible. It's so swivelly. All right. I come into my classroom and I go to the coat closet to set down my jacket. What's going to happen? What is she going to see? What is she going to notice? We all read this story. We should all know what she's about to see and what she's about to notice. Grant, what is she about to see? What is she about to notice?
She's about to see the sweater.
Great. I notice, what are some strong descriptive words that we can use to describe this sweater? I notice what's a word that we can use to describe it? Hayden.
Maybe old, because the character says that it's been there for a while.
I notice an old, comma, what's another descriptive word? James.
Raggedy.
Raggedy, comma. I want like two more strong adjectives. Amjad.
Ugly.
Ugly, comma. Maggie.
Red.
Yeah, a color. That's good. An old, raggedy, ugly red sweater balled up in the corner. What is Mrs. Price going to know about this sweater? If you're not sure, you should be looking back in your copy of 11. What is Mrs. Price going to recognize or know about this sweater when she sees it? It's literally the start of the whole conflict in the original story. Mana?
Like that she's gonna ask everybody who's this.
But why does she want it gone so bad?
Because it's been sitting in her room.
This thing, woo, I went to the wrong place. Here, let's get back to this. So I notice an old, raggedy, ugly red sweater balled up in the corner. This thing has been sitting there for a whole month. And I'm gonna put an exclamation mark on that because that feels like something that someone would exclaim, like, ugh, ugh. And what does Mrs. Price want? What is her motive in this story? She wants to what? Lydia?
Get rid of it.
She wants to get rid of it. I want this thing. I want this sweater gone. Exclamation mark. She feels pretty strongly about this. She wants it gone. We have now written the exposition of our story. Let's write a little bit of our rising action. Now, when Rachel goes from talking to us about birthdays and what they never tell you about them, to the actual story, she starts us off with some dialogue. I feel like this is a great place to add dialogue from the story. What is Mrs. Price going to start us off by saying? When my students come in, comma, because when is an AWUBIS word, it's created an opener. When my students come in, I hold the sweater up high and ask, comma, quotation mark. What is Mrs. Price asking her students? I love that I see Aisha looking back in her notes. I love that I see Amjad. Amjad, do you have the story out in front of you? I want a direct quote here. That story's right in front of you. We're going to pull direct quotes. Grant.
I think I'm helpful.
Why?
I can't get to story.
Bring me your laptop, please. Van.
She says, whose is this?
Whose is this? Question mark. What else does she say, Van?
And then she says, whose? It's been sitting in the room for a month.
1.03. Say again, Van, sorry.
She said, and then she says, whose? It's been sitting in the room for a month.
It's been sitting in the coat room for a month, period, end quotation marks. We are using direct quotes from the story. Why is that something that we are allowed to do here? Why are we allowed to pull direct quotes from the story and use them here? Addie.
It's a narrative story.
Because it's a narrative story, and what are we doing with this story?
Acting like we're the teacher.
And we are retelling it. We're using the same events, but from a different perspective. Okay, so we're allowed to do that. We're gonna hit enter. How do the students react when Mrs. Price poses this question, Mana?
They all say it's not theirs.
All of my students sit there and tell me it is not theirs. And we're gonna use theirs, THEIRS, because that's the one that shows ownership. But then, what happens? Everyone sits there and tells me it is not theirs until, what happens? Until, we're going to create a closer here with that fabulous AWUBIS word, until. Amjad? Ooh, what's her name?
Sylvia.
Yes. How does Mrs. Price feel about Sylvia? How do we think that Mrs. Price feels about Sylvia based on what happens in the story? Is she a fan? Is she not a fan? How do we think she feels? Aisha?
I think the teacher likes Sylvia.
Until my favorite student, Sylvia, tells me, what does she tell me? I've spelled favorite wrong. What does Sylvia tell me? I am Mrs. Price. What does she tell me, Amjad?
She tells her that it's
I see a few of those.
Sylvia tells the teacher that it's Rachel's jacket.
Is that a direct quote in the story? Everyone should be looking back and looking for this part. Is that a direct quote that she says, or does she just tell her? Tim?
I think it belongs to Rachel.
And tells me, comma, quotation mark, I think it belongs to Rachel. We're gonna borrow that direct quote again. How does Mrs. Price react to this news in the story? Katie?
She believes it's Rachel's, and then she tells Rachel that she has to keep it on her desk.
Well, I think that's a little bit further ahead. What does Mrs. Price do when Sylvia says, hey, I think that belongs to Rachel? Mana?
She gives the sweater to Rachel.
How do we think Mrs. Price feels about this moment? She came in, she saw the sweater, she wanted it gone. How is she feeling in this moment now that she knows whose it is? Lydia?
Finally, they can take it away. Finally, it took long enough.
What is that word when you feel like, oh, finally? What is she feeling? What's that emotion word, Lydia?
Relief.
I am so relieved. I take the sweater, and what does she do with it? Fan?
It's on Rachel's desk.
And I place it on Rachel's desk, period. Okay. We have gotten through the exposition and a little bit of the rising action. For the remainder of class, that is about 30 minutes of work time. I want you to use your Story Mountain, your original story, and y'all, I'll come back, but I want you to use these resources up here in the green box, and you are going to finish your narrative version, your narrative retelling of 11. If you finish, there are 4 questions on the board here that you must have. Your answer to these 4 questions must be yes before you bring it to me for a check. Did I add details about Mrs. Price's thoughts and feelings? Did I write more than what we wrote together as a class? Y'all, we just wrote 1, 2, 3, 4 paragraphs. That means that the rest of your story has to be at least 4 paragraphs. You can't just write 1 more paragraph and be like, I'm done. No. At least 4 paragraphs. Tip-topping, right? Paragraphs don't have to be huge, but you do need more paragraphs. Do you have dialogue? And did you use descriptive language? Are there any questions about what we are doing for the remainder of this class? Katie, if you need a copy of the original story, there's a copy in Google Classroom. Okay? All right. You are working for the remainder of class to get yourself as far as you can along your Story Mountain and writing your story. Please begin at this time.